Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. If you want to let us know where you're joining us from in the chat box, that would be fantastic. So my name's Mark and I'm based in Spain, and I live in a small town just outside Madrid called Avila. Hello. Okay, so we've got some faraway places. We're far away from each other. We've got Carmen in Norway. We've got people from Italy, France, lovely. Ireland, Portugal, lovely, all over the place. Great. Jose, you're close to me in Madrid, lovely. Okay, great. How's the weather in Spain? Actually, it's a bit chillier. It's chilly. Well, I say chilly, I mean, that's relative. It's about 19 degrees maybe. So, but chilly where I am in the mountains. Nice, excellent. Okay, wonderful. I think we'll give it another 30 seconds for everybody to connect, and then we'll get on with the session. Great. Okay, our numbers are quite steady. I think we can actually start. So, hello everybody. My name's Mark, as I just said. I'm based here in Spain. And the plan for today is to look at Greenman. We're going to try and cover two different things. We're going to first explore what support Cambridge offers to you. And then we're going to look at getting started with Greenman. So in the first part, we're going to investigate resources and some ideas and things you can expect to see from Cambridge. And then in the second one, we're going to look at Greenman, like do a walkthrough through a unit and have a few ideas about how we can make the most of it in our classes. So just a reminder, you will receive certificates in your follow-up email. This will come through the end of next week, probably, once all of the getting started with Cambridge sessions have been given. We're going to compile them all and put them into the follow-up email. So you can watch this again, and also you'll be able to see the sessions, all the other sessions as well. Also remember, please feel free to interact with us in the chat box. It's myself, and in the background we have my wonderful colleague Aurelie. She will be there to support in the chat box and answer any questions as well. So let's get started, I guess. Cambridge support for young learners. So what does Cambridge offer in terms of support? Well, first things first, I'd like to just give a few bits of advice. Remember, it's the start of a new year, so it's a great opportunity to establish rapport and relationships with our little ones. Remember, this is a new world for them. Just make sure that we are trying to make them as comfortable as possible and let them know that you are there for them. Also, remember, as they are very young learners, then routines are fundamental. Knowing what's going to happen relaxes them, helps them feel comfortable, and also creates a positive environment in the classroom. Another one, share learning goals. Let them know what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be playing, having fun, what we're trying to do. That helps them also understand a bit more the context of school. Think about how we're going to support all of our learners as we go through. Of course, we want to think not only about sort of emotional support with them and classroom support, but also language skills, and also help our learners know what success looks like. And of course, don't forget the Cambridge is here to support you. So, when children start, what do they need to feel? Well, first and foremost, they need to feel like you care about their personal lives and their aspirations, especially those first dayers, the ones the first time in school, that feeling of, oh my God, I don't know where I am, what's happening. It's really important that we're there to give them a bit of comfort, a bit of emotional support, but also a bit of sometimes physical support, a pat on the back, or let them know they can come to you, etc. Also, let them give opportunities for their successes and their efforts to be recognized. And this is really important because the learners also need to feel like they are successful and they can move forward and they are learning and they are there for a reason. Now, Cambridge has a really great support for this. We call it the Cambridge Life Competencies Framework. And this is a really lovely resource because as our world is changing fast, we do need to prepare our students with different skills and experience that go beyond language learning, right? We understand that engaging and collaborative nature of the language classroom is the perfect place to help embrace and embed these key qualities. So what does this booklet do? Well, it's essentially how many of our learning courses are informed. Behind what we do, we're always trying to improve these key competencies. They are critical thinking, learning to learn, collaboration, critical thinking, communication, and social responsibilities. Now, these booklets, they cover all ages. So you can see here that we have pre-primary, and that's looking at the different areas of the competencies and what it looks like in the classroom. So it includes some can-do statements and example languages. It's just a really, really nice resource to help us maybe think about the classroom in a slightly different way and help enrich our classrooms a bit more. You can see here that there are social responsibilities in the classroom. So this talks through some advice and guidance on how we can integrate it. And it also lets you know the types of resources that we have that integrate the life competencies in the classroom. Alongside this wonderful resource, we also have activity cards. Now, these activity cards are called the Young Learners activity cards, and they are a nice starting point to start to think about different activities related to the different competencies and how to sort of, like I said before, complement our classroom tasks. So here you can see this one looks at emotional development and it's talking about regulating emotions, and it's a feeling better chat. Now, this one is aimed sort of at the primary level, but we can also think about how to bring that down into the pre-primary level. So using emoticons or pictures or getting the learners to draw the emotions and then they can refer to the emotions that they've drawn, for example, is a really lovely way that we can start to integrate emotional development into the classroom. And that's a task that can be used with any material, any activity. We could use it as also like a reflective task for our learners. Now, within the pack, there are 60 or maybe even more. I haven't counted them, but there are lots and lots and lots of different activities covering all different areas of the competencies. These are downloadable. I already shared it in the chat box. You've got the link there. You can download them off, you can print them, use them as you wish. So that's a really lovely way that we can help complement our language learning classroom. Another important factor to remember is trying to think about the different stages of the learning journey, right? So at the start, as I mentioned before, share and set clear goals. They need to understand why they're doing something. Obviously, the way that we express that to our little ones is really important. Again, we need to make sure that when we're preparing our lessons, we are trying to create opportunities for success, and not only create opportunities for success, but also celebrate these successes. And maybe even more than celebrating the success would be celebrate the effort. And finally, we should always be thinking about different ways to monitor and measure progress. So within Cambridge materials, and some great suggestions in general, especially for the youngest learners, we could use a task like this. After a task or an activity, ask learners, was it fun? How did it go? And they can show thumb up, thumb down, or maybe thumbs in the middle. Or you could even maybe put 3 emoticon faces, happy, not sure, and the sad face on the walls, and get the little kids to run to where they want to be. If they were happy with the activity, or they're happy with the class, or if they weren't sure, or if they were uncomfortable, they can go to the other one. Now, this actually comes from the Cambridge blog. That's another brilliant resource. You can see the link there on the slide. The World of Better Learning blog is a fantastic resource where we can find lots and lots of really wonderful articles. They're not all activity articles either. There are inspirational articles, there are informative articles. There's just lots and lots of really nice information to get your teeth into. Another really important thing is thinking about reflection and learning goals. So we could take those activities and you could integrate them. Skip through those fast. You could integrate them into normal classroom activities. So here are some examples from our pre-primary classes. Okay, so there you go. You can see the 2 different courses there. There are lots of wonderful opportunities here to celebrate. So on the left-hand side, you can see we've got the emotional development. I feel happy, and you can get them to say how they feel with these activities. And on the right-hand side, you've got a nice values activity, which looks at being patient. Okay, so all of this is integrated into the courses, and they're really important skills that our youngest learners maybe haven't developed yet, or maybe are still on their way to being proficient at. So lots of lovely opportunities for reflection and support for our learners. Of course, these are practical classroom tasks. These are things that we see in our classroom every day. But behind that, we also have our digital tools. So Cambridge One, if I hope you're familiar with this, if not, it is going to be a lifesaver for you. Okay. Thank you, Carmen. It is amazing. I personally think, if I do say so myself, right? It is a digital learning platform that is there to help teaching and learning, and provides us with a wide range of resources and tools to support our learners' progress. The great thing about Cambridge One is it never stays still. It's always evolving, always developing, always adding new features, new content. It is a super, super tool. So why is it so good? Well, first things first, it's all in one place. Your front of class presentation tool, your extra teacher resources, all of your audios and videos, for example, they're all in one place. We log on to the website, and then you'll create your account, activate your materials, and you have access to everything you need. It's available online, and there's also an app to download onto the computer. Can't encourage you enough to really go log on and start having a look. Also, there are student areas, maybe less relevant for pre-primary, but It is age appropriate. Okay. Obviously, all of our learning content is age appropriate, but the platform also mimics that as well when it comes to the students' accounts. And finally, there is also data. You can collect data from activities your learners do online, and it helps inform our teaching as well. Just going to give you a very quick walkthrough on how to get on or what the website looks like. First things first, you have your quick log on. If you haven't created an account, you could do it through these 3 different social medias: Facebook, Google, and Apple. Or if you want to register with your school email, you click on I don't have an account yet, and you click there and you'll be able to register your account. If you want extra support for this, the help section is very, very in-depth. It has all sorts of FAQs, video support as well, letting you know how to create accounts, set up classes, and such. Once you're on there, you'll see this screen. So you have your main sections at the top. My classes, if you are creating classes, my library is where all of your resources are, and also my training. So I'll go through the latter 2 sections now. The My Library is what you see on the screen. You'll have your bookmarks to your courses. You also have access to teacher support, and you can also see all other course material. So teacher support and my training are linked, and it will look like this. You have different sessions or modules which you can go through, which guide you on how to use Cambridge One and the tools within Cambridge One. So for example, you have Practice Extra, which is extra support for primary courses and secondary courses, but also Presentation Plus. Now, this is the key tool that we'll probably be using in pre-primary. That is the front of class tool with all of your audios and videos integrated. Also, we have professional development courses available here as well, at varying hours. They are really nice courses. Maybe you are curious to get some new ideas or just refresh. You have lots of lovely development courses here. Now, those Cambridge One training courses, they look something like this. They are nice series of videos, just walking you through bit by bit. And then as we go through the rest of the year, there are lots of different things that we can use to support our classrooms. Of course, our very, very young learners, they are probably not going to be preparing for Cambridge exams, but remember that there are lots of resources here that we can look at and try to integrate, building them up so they are better prepared for when they get to primary and start to maybe prepare for these different exams. They're also a nice end of road goal for pre-primary to maybe develop some of the key language. For example, the word lists. Now, these word lists are fantastic. The word lists are divided into the different sections. So for us, it's probably most sensible to look towards the pre-A1 starters word list, and we can start to think about the type of language that we can use. For example, you might, on the screen, you may, words like afternoon might be something that we could get them to start to learn, or ball or bag. The very basic vocabulary. It's kind of a nice reference point, I like to think. So I've seen a question that's come through. Is it a free resource? Yes, so these are the word lists are free resources. Cambridge One is a free resource if you are using Cambridge learning materials. It's just activating the digital side of your resources. So other materials that might be really useful for our classroom are posters. You have access to these as well. Now, these are another great tool, a great visual for the classroom. We can interact with them physically with the young learners, getting them to point and recognize different things that are in familiar situations. So in this case, this poster is at school. You can see that there are things that might be familiar to them. It's always trying to link it to their context. Oh. So what can we do with this? Of course, we can exploit it, develop vocabulary, but also consolidate vocabulary. And there's loads of opportunities with posters to look at listening, speaking, reading, and writing. We can pull out the pictures as well. Another booklet available are classroom activities. I've just put the movers one here, but obviously the pre-primary one is probably the most appropriate one for us. And this is just another great resource that has lots and lots of activity ideas based on different topics and related to the word list and the word list picture book as well. So that is the Cambridge support we offer. We've got lots of free accessible resources for you, all related to the learner, the different learner ages, and also as a great starting point for many of our classes as well, when we're trying to expand and develop the lessons. So let me give you 30 seconds. If anyone has any questions, I'll do a quick check-in with you. I hope you found something useful in that support section. Next, we're going to be moving on to Greenman. But again, if anyone has any questions they would like to ask now, then please do share. No? So Jennifer says, where are the booklets located? You can find the booklets on the Cambridge website. We'll get that link to you in the chat box. It'll also come through on the email as well. We'll get that to you. Any other questions? Sorry, I forgot to show you the example. Here is an example of the type of resources you have. Okay, so shall we start with Greenman? Okay, lovely. So Greenman. So how does Greenman make early learning magical? Well, Greenman has three key messages that it likes to integrate. Number one, it's a whole child approach. It focuses on building positive attitudes to learning through routines and through supportive teaching, as well as it focuses on the well-being of our learners through self-reflection and affirmation. So affirmation, the belief in themselves, right? Also, it's set in nature, so that's a really nice topic for the learners to explore. It's often very exciting for them. It's in a woodland setting with beautiful illustrations. Then the last one is about adventure. There are lots of engaging stories with lovely characters that the children really do connect to. Here we go. So here is the whole child approach through routines, through nature, and also through adventure. Let's have a look then. I have a question for you now. It's a bit of a bit of a sorry, I see a message here. Is it suitable for English language learners? It is a course based for English language learning. It is 100% based on helping learners develop their English. Interesting side fact, Greenman actually comes from Celtic mythology. He's the guardian of the forest, sorry, and he's talking, I think it's often related to spring as well. Of course, The visual is an interpretation of Greenman. But anyway, my question for you. Can we teach pre-primary children English as a second language? What do you think? I'm glad you all say yes. A bit difficult if we say no, no? Nice. Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges, nice, you should be introducing, I like that. One of the biggest challenges, I think, is, or one of the biggest questions we might hear is, but pre-primary children can't read or write, so how do you teach them English? Okay, many English language teachers are taught to use the board and teach grammar rules and vocabulary. I think many of us know this is a fundamental part of teaching, but it is not the main approach when it comes to pre-primary. Pre-primary learners is all about speaking, having fun, playing, trying to relate to each other. It is a much more relationship side of things. And that's what Greenman tries to do. It tries to focus on how we can help support learners at this age. So firstly, looking at the physical development within Greenman, there are lessons and activities that help develop gross motor skills, balance, for example. It's got lots of total physical response activities in there as well, all linked to English language learning, but it's focusing on helping the learners develop those skills or those skills. It also looks at cognitive development. So obviously most pre-primary children can't read or write, and learning at this age depends on repetition, physical movement, songs, stories. So Greenman focuses on teaching language through songs and stories. There's lots of audios and videos to model language. For most children, this is their first contact with English or a foreign language. And so they need time to become comfortable and experience language receptively to start with. And then as they build confidence, they can start to participate. And Greenman keeps this in mind as well. As I mentioned, obviously there is the emotional and social development there. That is looking at trying to make them feel comfortable, making sure that they start to develop a school routine. And Greenman, again, tries to integrate this into it and help support that for, well, basically to give them the best start possible in the school environment. Another one which I think is fundamental is promoting learning through play. There's lots of play, lots of games, lots of drawing, which for very young learners is play. And in fact, very young learners don't distinguish between what is play and what is learning. So everything is a game, or we should at least try to also make sure that learners feel like everything is a game. And the last one is also trying to use L1 and English. Now, it is great if we only use English in the classroom. There's a lot of value in that, but the reality is that we need to use L1, and Greenman has this taken into account. So it'll give us guidance on where we could use English instead of L1. So let's have a look at a unit. Okay. Here you go. You can see it on screen. So each of these are double pages. Okay. So lesson 1, on the front, you have this big picture with the different animals on. And then on the back, you have an extra activity. I'll show you all this a bit closer in a minute. But lesson 1 focuses on vocabulary. Lesson 2 focuses on structures, which would be something similar to what we would consider grammar, right? Lesson 3 focuses on concepts. Lesson 4 focuses on actions. And then 5 skills, in this case, numeracy, for example. 6 is a consolidation. And then you also have your phonics activities at the end as an extra resource. So let's go through each of these lessons one by one and look at the type of activities and resources we have available. Number 1. So each lesson consists of 2 worksheets printed on one piece of paper, so front and back. The first worksheet is the lesson, and the second worksheet is and the second side is a worksheet or an extra activity. On the second worksheet, that's the one with the extra activity, you'll see on the top left here a bit of writing, and also, in this case, the song lyrics and the words and things that the learners have been learning. Now, these are very young learners. They can't read. So who is this for, do you think? Nice teachers, yep. Absolutely. It's true, but don't forget, as teachers, we have a teacher's book as well. Okay, nice, Roberta, you've hit the nail on the head. Yeah, Julia as well. It is for us as a quick reference while we're in class, but it's also for the parents. Okay, now it's a great way for us to inform parents at home of what our children have been doing in class. We've all seen it. These very young learners go home and they are singing the song that they've heard, or they're sort of going, hello, well, thank you. They're sort of humming and saying the rhythm, but then maybe they haven't learned the words yet, or they don't really know how to say them or what they mean. One of this is a really great thing that we can share with our parents at home, that they can see exactly what their children are trying to say. We can maybe reinforce it at home. We can support our learners as well, or their children as well. The great thing about Greenman is the book is perforated, so you can tear the pages out. So if you want to, the children can leave their Greenman books at school. They just pull out the page that they've been working on the day, and they can take it home to their parents. Depends on how you want to do it. If you want the little kids to take their books home, they can do that as well. Now, another thing that you can see on the screen or on the page is the vocabulary that they've been learning. So obviously lesson 1 is vocabulary. So we need to let the parents know, or at home, what vocabulary they are using or they have been learning. And of course, in this big box in the middle of the page is an extra activity. Now, this could be used in class if you want to do it with fast finishers. And also they could be used as a homework activity or something for the parents to do at home as well. So again, this vocabulary going back to the vocabulary, it's really important to remember that this is linked to the story and linked to the activity and the story within Greenman, and that helps us identify and to build learners' knowledge, so that when we get to the stories, they're a better place to enjoy it. Again, you can see at the top here, there are symbols. We can identify them with our learner. This helps them know what we're going to be doing in class. It's setting that objective, right? In this case, we have a video, a song, and we also have some coloring in and a little bit of talking. So as you go through learners become familiar with these symbols. We can always identify them, keep identifying them as a routine, so they know what they're going to be doing in class. How do they practice language throughout the unit? Well, they do it through vocabulary songs, TPR, everything is designed to support learners' retention and learning, and understanding, of course. So that's lesson one, and a bit of a tip on how we set up the units. Moving on to lesson two, you can see here, we have those symbols again, but lesson two is structures. Now, what lesson two aims to do is present key language again for the story and trying to bring the English language into the real context. A real context being the learner's real context, that is home, school, park, places that they might be familiar with or they would have seen in cartoons that they understand. You can see at the bottom, here's the language that's being used. So have you got? Yes, I have. No, I haven't. Can you fly? Yes, I can. No, I can't. Now, the idea is not to get them to understand the structure and the construction of the language, but really just teaching them how to start to interact with the language. We can ask them simple questions. There's a lot of guidance in the teacher's book that tells you the type of language to use as well. Oh, my animations are gone. So you can see here in the first one, these obviously is all about structures and how trying to get them to identify animals. On a side note, this is actually also very similar to the type of things that learners one day in the future might be doing when it comes to the Cambridge Young Learner exams. They have to link pictures to pictures. So we're already starting with very basic skills. Again, in this case, it's pen control. It's trying to draw straight lines and recognize similarities. So next will be the story. Just quickly before we do that, there are a few ideas and things that we can do before we start the story. Okay, so number one is obviously using pictures, getting them to predict. Remember that when we're telling a story, children don't need to know every word. It's trying to understand the concept of the story, and then we do activities afterwards. We can try to remind them before we do the story what we were learning about, what animals did we see, where were they, what noises did they make. Then while we are listening, or while you are telling the story, the learners we can give the learners a task. Maybe this is when you hear the word pig, hold up a picture of a pig, or when you hear me say horse, make the noise a horse makes. Little activities for them to listen into, to divert their attention to you and the story. Maybe you want to pause while we go through, ask them to say what they think is going to happen, get learners to join into repetitive parts of the story. Often young learner stories have a lot of repetition in them. So maybe you want to do that. Also remember, every learner is different. Every class is different. You may want to rephrase some of the different parts. And finally, after we tell the story, try to prompt reflection. Did you like the story? Did you not like the story? Who was your favorite character in the story? These types of things. Try to get them to think about the story afterwards, what they just experienced, what they just saw. Maybe ask them to do something related to the story. Maybe draw their favorite character, draw their favorite animal. Maybe you want to play a game. Maybe you want to do something silly in this one with the horse, the animal noises. Also, a nice one is letting the children browse the big book. Now, one of the components of Greenman, you have your teacher's book, you have your student's book, and you also have a big book. That is a big picture book that we can hold up and tell the story from the book, sort of developing the literacy side of things. So maybe you want to get the learners to have a look and interact with the actual physical book. Of course, we can also retell the story in later lessons, get them to tell the story as well in later lessons. Nice. Another tip here, helping them to start to develop or demonstrate their reading and writing. Maybe you can encourage them to find a name on a register. Maybe we should try to model how we read a book. Fundamental is holding the book in a certain way, how we hold a book. Think about postures and eye movements, and talk about turning the page, talking about doing verbal story announcements together. That by verbal story announcements, that's things like, and now we turn the page. Well, when it comes to writing, there are things like holding the pencil, obviously, and also at earlier stages is trying to do pen control, making marks that are meant to symbolize writing. This isn't essentially like a formal way to teach reading, but these elements are essential to developing skills that successful readers later have. Okay, so recognizing the alphabet, reading from left to right, these are all different skills that we develop alongside writing as well as reading. So it's really important that we try to integrate that as well. Next, along the lines, we have concepts. Now, concepts are exploring opposites. So big, small, strong, weak, hot, cold. We're trying to introduce very basic concepts that the learners are still learning about, and to try and help them also link language together, which helps recall and retention as well. Develops cognitive skills of the young learners. You can see here that there's the same. We have the activities for the parents, and there's the color, there's the worksheet as well for the learners. The optional activity, again, this is either if you want to use it in class or you could use it at home. Moving on, we have actions. This is the total physical response. There is a video, a song, and there's a lovely lady who sings the song and does the actions, and the video also has two young children there that they can follow along with. Now, here you can see this is an opportunity for the learners to practice the different vocabulary. Eat, fly, jump, run, sleep, walk. There's lots of vocabulary and there's lots of visuals to support them as well. Again, optional activity to provide extra support. This case, it is say and color the actions. Of course, learners holding a coloring pencil maybe don't have the best control, and that's absolutely fine. What we're trying to do is to give them the chance and the opportunity to start to develop those fine motor skills. Again, how to hold a pencil, how to draw lines, slowly starting to develop coloring in skills and controlling the pencil skills. It's not, you may see within one picture things that you think, my children are never going to be able to color that in. It's not really designed for that. It's designed for trying to give challenge, trying to push them towards the good fine motor skills. Okay, for example, the cow, it's not to be expected that they color in all of the spots and get into those really fine details. There may be some learners who want to try that. The picture is there for that. The reality is they're probably going to just color all over the cow in red. Moving on to skills. In this lesson, there are fun songs, repetitive structures, and in this case, we are practicing counting. It's numbers 1 to 6, giving them guidance and trying to write the numbers and do the correct actions. Again, fine motor skills, slowly, trying to build up the ability to write. These are what we call pre-writing skills, that is tracing, drawing a line to match. Also identifying is important there. And as we said before, optional activity on the back to provide extra practice. Consolidation looks like this. These consolidate the unit. The Greenman comes with stickers. So they go to the stickers and they peel them off and they stick them on the animals and the names of the animals that they know. So they have to say horse, and then they can stick the sticker on the horse. So the stickers are at the back of the pupil's book, okay? And then we have our phonics lesson as well. Phonics tasks here. They have to practice the sounds, saying the different sounds, sh, e, and then they go along and they sing a song, and then they match the sounds to the words. Now, it is important that we remember that phonics is not pronunciation only. Phonics is a literacy skill. It is reading as well as recognizing spellings, recognizing sounds. Greenman takes a very early approach to phonics. So in the first starter level, it will look at simple vowels, then it expands on it with consonants and vowels in one, and then by the end it's doing consonants and vowels, and also maybe the schwa is introduced there as well. So it's a very gradual, steady approach to phonics throughout the 3 levels. Again, there are teacher resources here. There are phonics cards that we can use and make. And here you can see in the teacher's book a guide on what phonics is in the course. One thing I didn't mention before, there are review pages. So you have seasonal songs, seasonal activities for summer, winter. I think there's also Nature Day or Forest Day as well. So you can see the Greenman how it covers lots and lots of lovely resources, lovely things, all focused towards language learning. Also, trying to help them develop cognitively, trying to help them develop physically, trying to be fun with songs and stories and the as such. Remember that Greenman is a pre-primary course, so we're talking before primary school, okay? And also remember that it is the first introduction to learning. So the assumption is 0 knowledge of language at starter, of English language at starter. Should we have a look at the teacher's book? So the teacher's book is a great resource for us, not only because at the beginning it gives us guidance on routines and training, a little bit of training for our youngest learners. Sorry, I'm just seeing there's a question about age groups. Which age group is it referring to? So pre-primary, nursery, kindergarten, I don't know what you would call it where you are, infantile maybe. So it's the very young learners. It depends. I can't say an exact age because it depends on where you are, which country you are. But normally we're talking 3s, 4s, 5s. 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. So those very, very, very young learners. So tell me, how do routines help learning? Does anyone want to share in the chat box for me? Exactly, Carla. Yeah, exactly, Julia. They make learners feel safe. It's repetition, creates a safe learning environment, a familiar learning environment. I always use the example, if you've had young children around you, they like to watch the same cartoons and stories over and over and over and over again. They like to do the same activities over and over and over again. That is not because they forget, it is the opposite, it's because they remember. They know what's going to happen, therefore they feel safe and comfortable. So, do you use routines at the beginning and end of your lessons? Let me know in the chat box. While you're answering, I'm going to reply to Ginevra. Is Greenman approach very different from Pipper and Pop? Pipper and Pop is another course that Cambridge offers. They follow a very similar methodology, a similar philosophy. The stories are different. The background is different. So Pipper and Pop is about mice who live in a bookshop. There is a heavier focus, I think, on more early literacy development, and it is a very different. It has all the same philosophies and the same ideas. It just takes a slightly different, more maybe cognitive critical approach. I recommend you watch the session on that as well. It will come through on your link. Speak to your local Cambridge representative. They will be able to guide you through that. Okay. Routine, yes. Day of the week, weather, feelings, greetings, songs. Nice. Okay, nice. So what does Greenman do? There are clear routines. So this is the teacher's book. You can see the lesson plan. You can see, so here's the lesson plan. Okay, you can also see that at the beginning, there is a starting the lesson. There are on page 8 at the beginning of the teacher's book, there are lots of classroom routines as a suggestion. Okay. What I will say also on the digital tools, you have a digital routine board, which has songs, shapes, weathers, birthdays. It has all of these things that you can do, you can click through, and you can do with them at the beginning. You also have, after starting the lesson, there is active time. So these are games, flashcard activities, and lots of physical activities. As you move through the lesson, you have your story time. You pull out the big book. We could tell a story. Moving through, at the end, you have table time. So this is where the learners can do worksheets. Now, also, then you have your goodbye. And there are a list of different goodbye classroom routines, different songs you could sing, different ideas on how to end and say goodbye. So every lesson in Greenman has a clear routine and a clear structure that we can go through. Don't forget that these activities don't need to be done in the same order. Okay. As long as the routine stays more or less the same. By that I mean, for example, maybe you do your starting the lesson, but your class have just come from the playtime and they are really, really active. And maybe you want to take advantage of it, great, and do the physical activity. Or maybe you want them to calm down. So maybe you want to start with table time to calm them down. Trying to create some sort of routine throughout the lesson is really, really important. They know the different stages and the different things we're going to do. On the right-hand page, you have extra activities, extra suggestions, and there's also a guide and things to do with the activity book there. Within, again, sorry, like I repeat, do take time to look at the beginning of the teacher's book because it has a whole load of great activities and support ideas. Now, lots of things we could do with routines. Remember, routines help children know what to do and when to do it. It helps them gradually become more responsible, also independent learners. They're exposed to familiar, repeatable phrases in English, which helps our learners develop confidence and be more comfortable. As I said before, this is all linked in to these initial ideas. Another great tool we have for reflection is the puppet. So Greenman comes with a puppet. This is the Greenman puppet. We can use it for reflection. At the end of class, you might want to use it to say, what did you like about today's class? What was your favorite activity? What did you learn today? What did you enjoy most about the game we played? Now, the puppet is a super popular resource. Okay, I will pre-warn you, the children will want to play with it all the time. My recommendation is, as long as you can, try not to let them play with it to start with. Because then it becomes a toy. And as soon as you get Greenman out, they just want to play with it, right? So as long as you can try to hold off, don't let them play with Greenman. Keep the mystery of him or her. I guess it's a him now. You ought to speak with your local Cambridge representative, Jadia. They'll be able to explain to you how to get hold of a puppet. So here, there's guidance on how to structure your lesson. It gives you the unit walkthrough, more or less, like I spoke about. You've got the phonics in Greenman as well. And also, you have a games bank of different activities. Now, you may have noticed on the screen, there's blue writing. Okay, now the blue writing again is in the walkthrough, the unit walkthrough, and that blue writing refers to the language that we could use repeatedly with our learners in English. Now, maybe the majority of your class is in your first language. Okay, this is language that we can use frequently and repeatedly in English to start to get them used to hearing and responding to English, particularly instructions. Words like draw, sit, write, listen, talk. All of these key words that they're going to need throughout their language learning and also outside of language learning, right? But this is kind of like a guidance on how to best introduce English language, spoken English language in the classroom, if your classrooms are predominantly L1. There's also an extra activity book, which is called the Forest Fun activity book. Now, the Forest Fun activity book comes one at each level, and it's designed as a resource to promote hands-on learning about the world around them. It's aligned to the pupil's book, but it doesn't follow the same structure. It's like an extra resource we can use. It provides opportunities to reinforce vocabulary, language, numbers, and also promotes learner creativity. So here's a page. Each unit is represented by a forest animal, not a number. Pupils circle the forest animal, okay, and then they work through the unit. And you can see here, follow and color and draw the animals. It's just lots of interactive activities. Now, I saw earlier that there was a comment about resources for parents. Maybe you want to encourage the Forest Fun activity book as a thing for parents at home. There's lots of coloring in, circling, and drawing that they can do with their children. And what's nice is there's lots of lovely different skills for the learners to practice, like observing, finding, investigating, feeling, caring. They're important things, physical motor skills and emotional skills as well. You see at the bottom, there's statements: I look carefully, I am creative, these positive affirmations, positive reinforcements. You've also got activities that they can do outside of the class. So in summary, can we teach pre-primary children English as a second language? I think the answer is yes, always taking into account these different points. There's one extra point I wanted to add, which I haven't actually mentioned yet. In the presentation plus, there are also yoga videos. So you can do little yoga activities with your learners in class as well. And that is pretty much everything I have for you today. Well done, everybody, for sticking through and listening. Okay, if there are any other questions, I can see a comment from Viviana. She says, "Our levels." Okay, and Chadia, this is related as well. Are levels A and B more advanced learners or for beginner or older children? It's a journey. So starter is for the youngest and earliest learners, then it goes A, and then it goes B. So as say, there are three stages or 3 years in infantile, you might go starter A, B. It's like a journey through the 3 levels. Just progression, basically. Is there a Greenman stamp? There isn't a Greenman stamp, unfortunately. You are not the first person who has asked this. There isn't one, unfortunately. The highest educational level at which Greenman's series can effectively be utilized. I think I covered that earlier. No, so we're talking 3s, 4s, 5s. Carolina, do you have any tips for teaching 1 and 2-year-olds? 1 and 2-year-olds is very complicated, isn't it? I mean, at that age, it is a lot about responding, and the key is familiarizing them with the sounds of English, I guess, not expecting them to talk, but interact. Maybe you can do color recognition, that might be a thing. Maybe you can do animal recognition. You can say, maybe encourage them to say very basic words. What books are used for beginners, starters, 6 to 8-year-olds? 6 to 8-year-olds, I would say, is primary. So you'd probably be looking at one of our primary courses, learning materials. That we've got a range of them. Best thing is get in touch with your local Cambridge representative. They will be able to guide you on that. There are 6 units in starter, 6 units in A, 6 units in B. 6 units, 6 lessons, 6 vocabulary words in general. How long should a unit take? As long as how long's a piece of string? It depends on the class. It depends on how much you want to do, if you want to do extra things around it. I don't know. I'm very careful to answer that. If you use all of the resources available to you for Greenman in class, you are looking at about every unit maybe is about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours. If you're using only the classroom pages, maybe 2 to 3 hours. They are very rough and they are very general timings, okay? Because some classes are really chaotic. Maybe some classes you are taking the children to the bathroom every 2 seconds. You know how it is in infantile, right? All 3 books in 1 school year. I think you are being optimistic to do all 3 in 1 year. I mean, they're designed one per year, really. You might want to, I don't know. I would speak to your local Cambridge representative on that. Remember, we're talking about pre-primary, kindergartens, infants. These are very young learners. It depends. Can I adopt the material as a self-employed CELTA tutor, or do I need state school to support me? You can purchase the material if you want, and you can use them for sure. I would speak to a local Cambridge representative. That's your best. They'll be able to guide you on the best place to get hold of it. You might be able to find it online as well. There you go. Viviana says her children only get 1 hour a week. So yeah, you've got plenty of resources then, Viviana, when it comes to Greenman in your context. Any other questions? If you do manage to do 3 in 1 year, let me know how you do it, because we can get ourselves rich on how to teach. That's fantastic. You can get hold of your local Cambridge representatives. You can go to the Cambridge website, so you'll be able to find a link there as well. I'm going to share a poll and a satisfaction survey with you. I do ask you all, please do respond. Please do let us know how useful this webinar was. This is a great feedback for us. So if we were on the right tracks, or if we could change anything, okay? So I appreciate the responses. Okay. While you're completing your survey, I can maybe answer another question. Oh, there you go. Aurelie has shared in the chat box. If you want to get in touch with us, there's the link to find your local Cambridge representative. One final thing before we go, there is a useful PDF that has a few links to different resources, videos, the unit walkthrough. Do have a look at this and do download it as well. That will appear in the chat box shortly. Okay. Well, that is everything. 1 second, we'll get that to you. I've shared that in the chat box for you. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, thank you, everybody. Where am I based? I'm based in Spain, Jadia. So I'm based in a small town called Avila in the mountains, just outside Madrid. We do have another session this afternoon. And also don't forget that the rest of the week and next week, we do have more sessions. If you are interested in joining any of the other sessions, we are looking at young learners, exams, and teenager courses as well. No, that's absolutely fine, Carolina. Don't worry. We've got all the information. We'll get the links to you as well. Okay. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Wonderful. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely week. Fantastic. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.